When Instagram influencers Jake and Maria posted their final couple's photo from Bali, they disappeared from social media forever. Their luxury hotel suite was found completely empty, passports and designer luggage left behind on the bed. No checkout records, no flight bookings, no credit card activity. For 18 months, their million followers wondered what happened, until investigators discovered Instagram stories that exposed their entire fake life scam. What they found will make you question everything you thought you knew about authenticity. When Instagram influencers Jake Thompson and Maria Santos posted their final couple's photo from a Bali infinity pool on August 22, 2023, their combined 1.2 million followers had no idea they were witnessing the end of one of social media's most elaborate deceptions. The golden hour lighting was perfect. Maria's designer bikini caught the sunset just right. Jake's abs glistened with what appeared to be expensive body oil. The caption read simply, "Living our best life, forever grateful #Bali vibes, #relationship goals." Within hours, the post had garnered 89,000 likes and 3,400 comments from devoted followers praising their authentic love story and inspirational journey together. Brands that had paid them thousands for sponsored content shared their photos as examples of successful influencer partnerships. Young couples around the world screenshot their images as relationship goals. But by sunrise the next morning, Jake and Maria had vanished from the digital world completely. Their luxury hotel suite at the Mulia Resort was discovered completely empty by housekeeping staff on August 24th. Designer luggage sat open on the bed, expensive clothes scattered across marble floors. 2 passports lay side by side on the nightstand, next to charging cables for phones that were nowhere to be found. A half-empty bottle of Dom Perignon champagne sat warming on the balcony table, 2 crystal flutes still bearing lipstick marks. The hotel had no record of them checking out. Security footage showed them entering their suite on the evening of August 22nd, but no cameras captured them leaving. Their rental car remained in the resort parking garage, keys missing. Credit card activity stopped completely after their final dinner charge at the hotel's signature restaurant. For 18 months, their social media accounts remained frozen in time. The comments on their final post evolved from congratulations to concern to wild conspiracy theories. "Where are you guys?" became, "Are you okay?" which eventually became, "What really happened in Bali?" Family members filed missing persons reports. Private investigators were hired. Documentary filmmakers began assembling footage for true crime specials. Reddit communities formed to analyze every pixel of their final posts, searching for clues that might explain how 2 people could simply evaporate from one of the world's most monitored tourist destinations. But what none of their followers, family members, or investigators realized was that Jake Thompson and Maria Santos hadn't disappeared at all. They had simply stopped performing. The investigation that would eventually expose their 18-month deception began not with a missing persons case, but with an insurance fraud claim worth $2.3 million. What investigators discovered would shatter everything their followers believed about authenticity, love, and truth in the Instagram age. The perfect couple with the perfect life had been perfectly fake from the very beginning. October 12, 2024, 2:47 a.m. Sarah Chen sat in her downtown Los Angeles office, surrounded by multiple computer monitors displaying what looked like a digital crime scene. As a former FBI cybercrime specialist turned private fraud investigator, she had seen every type of online deception imaginable. But the insurance claim sitting on her desk was different. 5 separate companies were demanding $2.3 million in refunds from Jake Thompson and Maria Santos for sponsor content that had allegedly been viewed by millions of people who no longer existed. The assignment seemed straightforward at first. Verify the couple's social media metrics, confirm their disappearance, and determine whether their sponsor posts had delivered the promised engagement. Standard influencer fraud investigation. Sarah had handled dozens of similar cases involving fake followers, bot engagement, and inflated reach statistics. But as she began analyzing the metadata from Jake and Maria's Instagram posts, something didn't make sense. The location data was inconsistent. Photos allegedly taken in Bali showed GPS coordinates that placed them in 3 different time zones within the same hour. Image analysis revealed lighting patterns that were impossible for the claimed locations and times. Sarah pulled up their final post from the Mulia resort. According to Instagram's timestamp, the photo was taken at 6:23 p.m. local Bali time on August 22nd, during what should have been golden hour. But the shadow angles and light quality suggested the image was captured closer to noon, and the background elements didn't match any publicly available photographs of the resort's infinity pool area. Her forensic software detected something even more disturbing: digital compositing. Multiple layers of images had been skillfully blended to create what appeared to be a single photograph. Jake and Maria had been photographed separately against green screens, then digitally placed into a stock photo of a luxury resort that may not have even been the Mulia. Sarah's hands moved quickly across her keyboard, running reverse image searches on hundreds of their photos from the past 2 years. The results made her stomach drop. Exotic locations that had generated millions of likes were actually composite images created from royalty-free stock photography. Luxury hotel suites they'd claimed to stay in were available as rental photography studios in Los Angeles. Designer outfits that had launched fashion trends were identified as high-quality replicas purchased from counterfeit manufacturers. Even more chilling was the discovery that their relationship itself appeared to be fabricated for content. Metadata analysis revealed that their candid couple moments were shot during the same brief sessions, with multiple outfit changes suggesting planned photography rather than authentic documentation of their lives together. Sarah realized she wasn't investigating a missing persons case. She was uncovering the systematic construction and eventual collapse of entirely fictional identities that had fooled over 1 million people for nearly 3 years. The question wasn't where Jake Thompson and Maria Santos had gone. The question was whether they had ever really existed at all. Before they became Instagram royalty, Jake Thompson and Maria Santos were just 2 struggling 20-somethings desperate to escape the suffocating reality of their ordinary lives. Their transformation into social media superstars hadn't happened overnight, but their desperation had been building for years. Jake lived in a cramped studio apartment in North Hollywood, sharing the space with his roommate David Kim, an aspiring photographer who worked nights at a 24-hour gym to pay rent. At 28, Jake's dreams of becoming a fitness model had crashed against the harsh reality of an oversaturated market where thousands of muscular men competed for the same handful of sponsorship deals. His personal training certification gathered dust while he delivered food for DoorDash, watching his bank account hover dangerously close to zero month after month. But Jake understood something that most failed influencers missed. People didn't just want fitness content, they wanted fantasy. They wanted to believe that the right workout routine, the right supplements, the right mindset could transform them into someone who lived in luxury penthouses and traveled the world with beautiful women. Jake had the body, the smile, and the willingness to sell whatever dream would pay his bills. Maria Santos had moved to Los Angeles from Miami with $800 in her checking account and a suitcase full of knockoff designer clothes that looked convincing enough in photographs. At 25, she worked at a high-end boutique in Beverly Hills, watching wealthy women buy single handbags that cost more than she made in 3 months. Her Instagram account started as a creative outlet, a way to showcase styling ideas using borrowed clothes and carefully angled photographs that hid the reality of her studio apartment's peeling paint and broken air conditioning. But Maria had discovered something powerful. Her Cuban heritage and stunning looks made her valuable in an industry obsessed with diversity and representation. Brands were actively seeking Latina influencers who could authentically connect with underserved markets. Maria wasn't authentic about much, but she was authentically beautiful and authentically desperate to succeed. Their meeting in January 2021 at a West Hollywood networking event for aspiring content creators was purely strategic. Jake needed a girlfriend who photographed well and could help him break into lifestyle content beyond just fitness. Maria needed a boyfriend who could afford to split the costs of the expensive props and locations required to maintain a luxury image. Their first collaborative post, A candid photo of them sharing acai bowls at a trendy cafe generated more engagement than either had ever received individually. The comments were filled with heart eye emojis and relationship goals hashtags. Followers wanted to see more of this beautiful interracial couple who seemed to have figured out how to live their best lives together. That night, in Jake's cramped studio apartment, they made a decision that would eventually earn them millions of dollars and land them on international fraud watch lists. They decided to give their followers exactly what they wanted, a perfect love story, no matter what it cost. August 15th, 2023 was supposed to be the culmination of Jake and Maria's carefully orchestrated rise to Instagram fame. For 2.5 years, they had built their brand around the promise that hard work and authentic love could create the perfect lifestyle. Their Bali trip represented everything their followers believed about them: success, romance, and the kind of effortless luxury that came from living your truth. The morning started with Jake's typical routine in their North Hollywood apartment. He spent 45 minutes in the bathroom perfecting his appearance, applying subtle makeup to enhance his abs, and using teeth-whitening strips to maintain his camera-ready smile. Meanwhile, Maria laid out their travel outfits on the bed, designer pieces they had rented for $200 per day from a Beverly Hills styling company that catered to social media influencers who couldn't afford to own the clothes they wore. Their apartment looked nothing like the luxury penthouse their followers imagined. Clothes hung from a makeshift closet system David had built using PVC pipes. Ring lights and photography equipment took up most of the living space. The kitchen table served as their editing station, covered with laptops, external hard drives, and notebooks filled with content calendars and engagement analytics. But their followers would never see this reality. By 9:30 a.m., Jake and Maria were posting Instagram stories from what appeared to be LAX first-class lounge, complete with champagne glasses and boarding passes for their dream vacation to Bali. The location was actually a rented photography studio in Culver City that specialized in airport and hotel mock-ups for commercial advertising. The logistics of faking an international vacation were more complex than their previous deceptions. David Kim, who had evolved from roommate to full-time accomplice, had spent weeks researching Bali's geography, weather patterns, and luxury resort layouts. He had purchased stock footage of Balinese landscapes, downloaded thousands of reference photos, and even hired a local photographer in Bali to take establishing shots of popular locations that Jake and Maria could later digitally insert themselves into. Maria's part required her to study Indonesian cultural elements, memorize details about Balinese customs, and practice poses that would look natural against green screen backgrounds. She spent hours watching travel vlogs, taking notes on how real tourists behaved and what they wore. Her performance had to be flawless because their followers were becoming increasingly sophisticated about detecting fake content. The green screen photography sessions took place in a warehouse studio in downtown LA that David had rented for 3 days. Professional lighting equipment created the illusion of tropical sunlight. A wind machine provided the hair movement that suggested ocean breezes. Even the champagne they toasted with was carefully selected to match the golden hour lighting they were simulating. Jake's Instagram story showed him working out on what appeared to be a Balinese beach at sunrise. In reality, he was exercising in front of a massive LED screen in the studio while David played sounds of crashing waves from hidden speakers. The attention to detail was extraordinary. Even Jake's sweat was artificially created using glycerin spray to ensure it looked authentic under the studio lights. Each day of their fake vacation required dozens of photos and videos to maintain the illusion of real-time documentation. They shot multiple outfit changes in single sessions, creating a week's worth of content in just 3 days. The final post would be scheduled to upload from IP addresses that spoof Balinese locations, complete with accurate timestamps and weather conditions. But maintaining such an elaborate deception required more than technical skill. It demanded that Jake and Maria fully commit to living lies that were becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. As their follower count approached 1.2 million combined, the pressure to deliver authentic content that was completely fabricated was taking a psychological toll that neither had anticipated. The Bali vacation that would make them social media legends was also the beginning of the end of their ability to distinguish between their performed identities and their real selves. 18 months passed like a digital graveyard. Jake and Maria's Instagram accounts became monuments to a mystery that consumed their followers' lives in ways neither had anticipated when they vanished from social media on August 22nd, 2023. The comments on their final Bali post evolved into something resembling a public memorial service. Followers who had never met them personally wrote lengthy tributes to their inspirational love story. Others created conspiracy theories that grew more elaborate with each passing week. Someone started a Change.org petition demanding that Indonesian authorities launch a formal investigation into their disappearance. At Fitness with Jake's account, frozen at 650,000 followers, became a pilgrimage site for fitness enthusiasts who treated his workout videos like sacred texts. Young men across America continued following his nutrition plans and training routines, believing that somewhere in his content lay the secret to the confidence and success he had projected. His final post generated over 400,000 comments from followers who refused to accept that their motivation guru was simply gone. At Mariah's Style Diary, with 580,000 followers, turned into a fashion archaeology project. Style bloggers analyzed every outfit she had ever posted, creating detailed guides to recreate her looks. Boutique owners reported increased sales of items similar to pieces Maria had featured, even though many of those pieces had been rental items or counterfeits. Her influence on fashion trends continued, growing even in her absence. The most disturbing development was the emergence of tribute accounts run by obsessed followers. At Jake and Maria Forever posted daily content speculating about their fate, analyzing flight patterns between Bali and various countries, and sharing evidence of potential sightings. At Find Jake and Maria organized search efforts, raising money through GoFundMe campaigns to hire private investigators and search teams. Their families became reluctant celebrities in the true crime community. Jake's parents, middle-class retirees from Denver, found themselves thrust into the spotlight when documentarians and podcast hosts contacted them for interviews. They had always been proud of their son's social media success, never realizing that his luxury lifestyle was completely fabricated. The discovery that Jake had been living in a studio apartment while posting from what appeared to be penthouse locations devastated them. Maria's mother in Miami hired 3 different private investigators, spending her life savings trying to find her daughter. She appeared on Spanish-language television shows, tearfully pleading for information about Maria's whereabouts. The interviews revealed details that should have raised red flags. Maria had rarely called home, never invited family to visit her luxury apartment, and had been evasive about specific details of her relationship with Jake. The true crime industry embraced their story with disturbing enthusiasm. Netflix announced a documentary series. Podcasters dissected every frame of their final posts. Reddit communities with names like r/Jake and Maria Mystery attracted thousands of amateur investigators who spent countless hours analyzing metadata, cross-referencing timestamps, and developing theories about everything from human trafficking to witness protection programs. What none of these investigators realized was that they were trying to solve a mystery that didn't exist. The couple they were mourning had never been real. The relationship they celebrated as goals had been a business arrangement. The luxury lifestyle they envied had been constructed entirely from rented props and digital manipulation. The most tragic aspect wasn't Jake and Maria's deception, but how desperately their followers needed to believe in the authenticity of what they had presented. In an age of filtered reality and curated perfection, their audience had invested emotionally in a love story that existed only in carefully staged photographs and scripted captions. 18 months of searching for 2 people who had simply stopped performing revealed more about society's relationship with social media authenticity than any academic study could have captured. Their followers weren't just looking for Jake and Maria. They were searching for proof that the perfect life they had been sold was actually possible to achieve. The breakthrough that would expose Jake and Maria's elaborate deception came not from their desperate families or the army of amateur investigators, but from a single insurance claim that landed on Sarah Chin's desk in October 2024. What started as routine fraud verification would become the most complex digital archaeological project of her career. The claim itself seemed straightforward. 5 major brands were demanding $2.3 million in refunds for sponsor content deals with Jake Thompson and Maria Santos. Fashion Nova wanted back $400,000 they had paid Maria for a summer collection campaign. Athletic supplement company Muscle Max was seeking $650,000 in refunds for Jake's protein powder endorsements. 3 luxury travel brands collectively demanded $1.25 million for sponsored posts that had supposedly reached millions of engaged followers. Sarah's initial analysis revealed standard influencer fraud indicators, artificially inflated engagement rates, suspicious follower demographics, and bot-driven comment patterns. But as she dug deeper into the technical metadata of their posts, she discovered something far more sophisticated than typical social media manipulation. The geolocation data was the first major red flag. Jake and Maria's posts from exotic locations showed GPS coordinates that were physically impossible. Their romantic sunset dinner in Santorini had location data that placed them simultaneously in Greece, California, and Nevada within the same 30-minute window. Photos allegedly taken during their Maldives getaway contain metadata showing they were captured in a photography studio in downtown Los Angeles. Sarah's forensic software detected advanced digital compositing in nearly every photo they had posted over the past 2 years. Multiple layers of images had been skillfully blended using professional-grade editing software. Jake and Maria appear to be photographed separately, often against green screens, then digitally inserted into stock photography of luxury locations they had never actually visited. The technical sophistication was remarkable. Lighting had been carefully matched between their portrait photography and the background locations. Shadows fell at correct angles for the supposed time of day and geographic location. Even environmental details like wind direction affecting their hair and clothing had been digitally synchronized with weather data from the claimed locations. But the most damning evidence came from reverse image searches of their candid relationship photos. Sarah discovered that many of their most popular couple moments had been constructed using separate individual photographs taken months apart. Their viral surprise proposal video in Paris showed digital compositing so advanced that it had fooled professional video editors who analyzed it for documentary projects. Sarah's investigation revealed the infrastructure behind their deception: a network of rental studios, green screen facilities, prop houses, and professional photographers who specialized in creating content for influencers who couldn't afford the lifestyles they portrayed. David Kim's credit card records showed payments to companies with names like Luxury Lifestyle Rentals, Exotic Location Studios, and Designer Prop House. The financial trail was equally revealing. Instead of the millions in earnings their lifestyle suggested, Jake and Maria's actual income barely covered the costs of maintaining their elaborate deception. They were essentially running a Ponzi scheme, using new sponsorship deals to pay for the equipment and locations needed to create content that would attract even bigger sponsorship deals. Most disturbing was the discovery that their relationship itself was performance art. Phone records showed they rarely communicated when not creating content together. Financial records revealed separate living arrangements and dating profiles on multiple apps where they presented themselves as single. Even their most intimate moments had been scheduled. As Sarah Chun assembled the evidence of Jake and Maria's systematic deception, she uncovered a fraud operation so sophisticated that it redefined her understanding of social media manipulation. This wasn't just fake followers or purchased engagement. It was a complete fabrication of 2 human identities designed to extract maximum financial value from emotional manipulation. The technical infrastructure behind their scam was staggering. David Kim's financial records revealed payments to over 30 different service providers who specialized in creating artificial authenticity for social media influencers. Reality simulation studios in Culver City charged $3,000 per day for green screen photography sessions that could simulate any location in the world. Lifestyle Props Unlimited rented everything from designer luggage to exotic sports cars, all calibrated to photograph perfectly under professional lighting. Sarah discovered that Jake and Maria had developed a sophisticated content calendar that planned their fake lives months in advance. Spreadsheets detailed which exotic locations they would visit, what designer outfits they would wear, and even what emotional states they would portray. Their spontaneous romantic moments were scheduled like corporate board meetings, complete with backup options for different weather conditions and lighting scenarios. The psychological manipulation was equally calculated. They had studied their audience demographics extensively, identifying the specific insecurities and aspirations that drove engagement. Young women followed Maria because she represented the perfect balance of accessible relatability and unattainable luxury. Her content promised that the right skincare routine, workout plan, and positive mindset could transform anyone into someone who wore designer clothes and traveled the world with a devoted boyfriend. Jake's male audience craved the validation he projected, the confidence of a man who had supposedly figured out how to build both physical and financial success while maintaining a loving relationship. His motivational posts weren't just about fitness. They sold the fantasy that discipline in the gym translated to success in all areas of life, including love and wealth. Their interracial relationship added another layer of manufactured authenticity. In an era of increasing social consciousness, their coupling provided aspirational representation for followers who saw their love story as evidence that success and happiness transcended racial boundaries. Comments on their posts frequently praised them for breaking barriers and showing what real love looks like. The tragic irony was that their fake relationship was being celebrated as more authentic than many real couples' social media presence. The financial fraud extended far beyond simple sponsorship deals. Sarah traced cryptocurrency investments, affiliate marketing schemes, and even a failed attempt to launch their own supplement line using their combined social influence. They had monetized everything: their workouts, their fashion choices, their travel experiences, and ultimately their relationship itself. Most damaging was the discovery of their emergency fund strategy. When follower engagement began declining in early 2023, they had crowdfunded their Bali trip by claiming it was a business opportunity that would allow them to create even better content for their audience. Over 3,000 followers had contributed to their dream vacation, believing they were supporting two young entrepreneurs who would share their success story. The psychological toll of maintaining such an elaborate deception became evident in private communications Sarah discovered between Jake and Maria. Text messages revealed increasing paranoia, arguments about the sustainability of their fraud, and growing concerns about legal consequences. By summer 2023, they were both experiencing anxiety attacks and insomnia from the constant pressure of performing identities that bore no resemblance to their actual lives. Their final act, the staged disappearance from Bali, wasn't a spontaneous decision, but a carefully planned exit strategy they had been developing for months. They had researched countries with limited extradition treaties and no social media monitoring capabilities. The abandoned hotel room was meant to suggest tragedy while buying them time to establish new identities in a location where their faces wouldn't be recognized. February 18, 2025. The confrontation that would finally expose Jake Thompson and Maria Santos came not in a dramatic police raid or courtroom showdown, but in a cramped internet cafe in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where two people who had once commanded the attention of millions were now hiding behind fake passports and dyed hair. Sarah Chun had spent 3 months tracking financial breadcrumbs across Southeast Asia. Wire transfers to Thai banks, cryptocurrency exchanges based in Singapore, and rental payments for modest apartments in cities where Western tourists could blend in without attracting attention. The trail led to a humid, poorly ventilated building on the outskirts of Thailand's digital nomad capital, where Jake now went by Michael Roberts and Maria called herself Sophia Martinez. The transformation was jarring. Jake's once perfect physique had softened from months of cheap street food and limited gym access. His trademark confidence had been replaced by the nervous energy of someone constantly looking over his shoulder. Maria's designer aesthetic had given way to oversized t-shirts and baseball caps pulled low over dark sunglasses. They looked like what they actually were: two ordinary people running from the consequences of extraordinary lies. Sarah entered the internet cafe at 2:47 p.m. local time, carrying a tablet loaded with irrefutable evidence of their fraud. She had practiced this moment for weeks, knowing that confronting professional manipulators required careful strategy. Too aggressive, and they would flee again. Too gentle, and they would attempt to charm their way out of accountability. Jake Thompson and Maria Santos, she said quietly, approaching their corner table where they hunched over laptops, presumably managing whatever remained of their financial assets. Or should I say Michael and Sophia? The reaction was immediate and telling. Maria's face went completely pale, her hands trembling as she instinctively reached for her phone. Jake's first impulse was to stand and assess escape routes, his eyes darting toward the cafe's exits like a trapped animal calculating odds of survival. "I'm not law enforcement," Sarah continued, taking a seat at their table without invitation. "I'm a private investigator working for the insurance companies you defrauded. But I think we both know that local police would be very interested in your visa situation here in Thailand." The psychological chess match that followed revealed the true personalities behind their carefully constructed social media personas. Jake immediately attempted to deploy the charm that had made him successful on Instagram, flashing his practice smile and speaking in the motivational tone his followers remembered. But without professional lighting and careful angles, his charisma felt hollow and desperate. "Look, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding," Jake began, his voice carrying the same inflection he had used in countless sponsor posts. "Maria and I have been dealing with some personal issues, but we never intended to hurt anyone." Maria's approach was different, but equally revealing. She broke down completely, tears streaming as she claimed they had never meant for things to go so far. But even her emotional breakdown felt performed, as if she was cycling through responses that had worked in previous confrontations. Sarah laid her tablet on the table and began displaying the evidence she had compiled. Bank records showing the rental payments for photography studios. Metadata proving their exotic vacation photos had been taken in Los Angeles warehouses. Communication logs revealing that their romantic relationship had been purely transactional from the beginning. "This is 2.5 years of systematic fraud," Sarah explained, scrolling through page after page of documentation. "You didn't just fake a vacation or exaggerate your income. You created completely fictional identities, manipulated the emotions of over 1 million people, and stolen money for followers who believed they were supporting a real couple's dreams." The psychological unraveling was immediate and complete. Jake's motivational speaker persona collapsed entirely as he realized the futility of denial. "You don't understand the pressure," he said, his voice breaking. "Do you know what it's like to have hundreds of thousands of people expecting you to be perfect every day? To wake up knowing that if you don't post content that makes people feel good about themselves, your income disappears." Maria's confession was even more revealing. "We never planned for it to get this big," she sobbed. "It started with just renting some clothes for photos because I couldn't afford designer pieces. Then we needed better locations. Then we needed to seem like we were traveling. Each lie required bigger lies to support it. The psychological dependency on their fabricated identities became clear as they spoke." Jake admitted that he had begun to believe his own motivational content, convincing himself that he actually possessed the confidence and success he projected online. Maria revealed that she had developed an eating disorder, trying to maintain the physical perfection her followers expected, and had been taking anxiety medication to cope with the constant fear of exposure. Most disturbing was their complete disconnect from the impact of their fraud on their followers. When Sarah showed them comments from young people who had spent money they couldn't afford trying to recreate the lifestyle Jake and Maria portrayed, their responses revealed a chilling lack of empathy. "Those people chose to follow us," Jake said defensively. "We never forced anyone to buy anything or donate money. We just posted photos and videos." Their inability to understand the psychological manipulation inherent in their content strategy demonstrated how completely they had prioritized financial gain over human decency. They had commodified not just their own fabricated identities, but the dreams and aspirations of everyone who believed in them. The confrontation lasted 4 hours, ending only when Sarah presented them with two options: cooperate with her investigation and face civil penalties, or continue running while she provided their current location to international law enforcement agencies pursuing criminal fraud charges. The choice revealed who they really were beneath their carefully constructed personas. After building their entire brand around authenticity and genuine connection, they chose the option that would save themselves, regardless of the continued impact on the millions of followers still searching for answers to their disappearance. Two influencers who trusted follower loyalty and platform monetization systems proved that even charismatic entrepreneurs couldn't escape fraud networks that required social media companies to ignore systematic targeting of vulnerable audiences for profit. Jake and Maria's hidden documentation finally revealed the communication evidence that brands refused to investigate properly. The encrypted financial records that exposed years of coordinated deception became a testament to one investigator's courage in exposing corruption within our digital validation systems. Sarah Chin's investigation didn't just solve a missing persons case. It revealed how easily social media platforms enable the commodification of human emotion. Over 1 million followers had invested their dreams, money, and mental health into a relationship that existed only in rented photography studios and green screen sessions. The couple who built their brand on authentic love and genuine success had created neither. Their followers weren't just betrayed by fake vacation photos or rented designer clothes. They were manipulated by a calculated campaign that weaponized their deepest insecurities about success, love, and self-worth for financial gain. How many other authentic influencers are running similar operations, selling fabricated lives to audiences desperate for hope? What happens when the pursuit of digital validation enables